Um, this is day 4, week 10, and we're getting started with the dynamic effort barbell bench press again. Um, as you guys already know, if you saw the previous week's video, we have mini bands on here for a little bit of band tension. It's not much. It's usually 15 to 20 pounds per band. And then we have the OVR velocity tracker strapped up here as well, just to make sure that I'm following not a strict speed prescription, but at least whatever I'm doing, I don't get carried away with how much weight I'm using, and I remain as focused as possible to maintain bar speed instead of kind of like going autopilot and just kind of getting reps in just to get them done. So we got those two things involved. 6x3, same as last week. So again, falling right in that sweet spot of between 15 to 30 reps. And as far as weight goes, we did 165 last week for the entirety of the 6x3, which is expected. And normally I try to make a jump, but given probably how things are going to go, we might only jump to like 170 instead of 175, just because I don't necessarily want to dip too low. And you might be surprised how little weight it takes to actually see a pretty dramatic drop off in bar speed. Especially when you know that you increased weight, you automatically kind of sandbag a little bit. So with all that being said, though, we'll probably chill again at 170 and just leave it there. If 170 is moving really fast, then I'll go up to 175. And when I say really fast, if it's like 0.85 or higher, yeah, that's a little too fast. Or not too fast, but it's, faster than what I'm aiming for. We try to stay right at like 0.8 to like 0.75 is like a great area to be. But a little over 0.8 isn't the end of the world either. So with all that being said, we got an empty bar behind us. So let's go ahead and start with this. The first set is going to be just standard bench press. And then I'm going to do a set that's like speed focused. And then we'll slap some weight on here and get straight to work. So 6x3 again, if I didn't already say that. Feels fine, but I have some weird like hand pain right here on what that's from. See how fast that was. Oh yeah, 1.57. Ugh. Ugh. I'm a little bit of a turtle today anyway. I know mental focus doesn't really seem dialed in, but this week's kind of been a little fucky wookie just in terms of, day-to-day stressors. But woe is life. .16, not bad. The second one was a little wonky. I felt the bar come touch down like way below its normal touch point, because normally I'm touching like right across the nipple line, and that one it was like below my solar plexus, like basically my stomach. And I felt it just kind of roll like this. I was like, oh fuck. But it looks like we averaged at 0.94. So not too bad. But that second one was slow as shit. Again, we're just going to take a look at OVR, see how fast it moves. If it's moving fast enough, then we'll stay there. Sometimes we're doing the dynamic effort stuff, like it feels heavy, but it moves fine. And sometimes vice versa, it, moves pretty poorly, but it feels fine. And it doesn't feel like there's anything wrong, but it's just like the speed is just not there. And I find most of the time that's like a mental focus thing. Like you literally just need to lock the fuck in for 5 seconds to do the set. But easier said than done, really, especially when you got a lot of stuff going on up here. So, but anyway, we're gonna see how this goes. Everything today feels fine. So hopefully this is a good set. But you know me, probably gonna fuck it up somehow. Still cruising right underneath 0.8. So we'll stay here. Oh, that first one was slow. Slowing down just a hair. We're at 0.78. Ooh, that was a little faster. So it looks like the average speed is kind of equaling out now in terms of like we were having some really slow reps at the beginning. Now we're kind of maintaining like a steady average. And then that last one that I just did was 0.83. What the fuck? .81. Let's look at this average here. So you can see this was initially, hopefully you guys can see this graph here at the bottom. You can see initially we had some pretty severe drops, and those were those slow ass reps that we had. And then this is our last 3 sets here. But you can see the I guess standardization of velocity there, where the like significance of the drop-offs was like way less. So anyway, that's pretty cool. And I know some of you are probably thinking, how does it really compare if you're like short-handing a rep or cutting depth on a squat or something like that? It actually measures your range of motion in inches. So if I go here to our top set here, which is the 170, right? Initially, my ROM was actually shorter. First couple reps and a few sporadic ones throughout, they're about 14.8, 14.5 inches. And then some of my longest reps were 15 and a half, 15.3, 15.5. And so my immediate thought process for something like that is maintaining the arch during speed reps. So some reps, you're sinking it a little bit more into the chest. The bar is making a little bit more displacement in the chest compared to others where you're like hitting the chest and stopping like right there and then able to press back up. Now, which one of those is better kind of depends on a few things. Either one, are you the type that does sink the bar into the chest and then presses? If you are, then obviously you want that deeper range of motion because that's how you actually bench. If you're not that type of person, though, the shorter bench is a better indicator because it means you're controlling to that normal stopping point and pressing from there. You're not letting the bar collapse into your chest and then pressing from there, which definitely happens, especially as you fatigue and you're trying to move as quickly. Not every rep is going to be perfect. Kind of the point is the variability from rep to rep because you're trying to standardize that, right? You're doing your best to standardize each rep. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to move into pull-ups now. So because the bench is all done. So we were doing 5s last week with a 45. I'm going to try and jack that up to like 50 pounds added because we're moving down in reps. We're doing like a 4x4, or 5x4. I can't remember. But anyway, reps are coming down just a little bit, so I'm trying to add a little bit more load. So let's get to it. All right, so it's a 4x4, the pull-ups, military style. So it's going to be medium grip, pronated hand position. 4x4 down from 3x5. It's 5 additional reps total. So trying to just bang out basically an extra set. And I'll probably treat it the same way as I did the bench press. I'll probably just add 5 pounds of that, 45 to 50, because 45 wasn't too bad. We'll see. Yeah. And the 5 on top of that's going to suck. So I decided not to add it yet, only because I might only be able to do 50 for the last one. Oh, it was just way harder than I was expecting. So it's funny, I had mentioned that 45 was way harder than I expected. And as soon as I did the set, it was way easier than I was expecting. So here we are. I added it. Now watch this just be way harder now. It's just so funny how that works. It's very irritating when it comes to weight selection, right? Especially on any given day, because you don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know how slow the weights are going to move or how fast they're going to move or how that can even change mid-workout. So this is number 3 of 4. Ooh. I think we can get there for set number 4. I think so. Not feeling too bad. All right, last one. Chest supported rows. so it's seal row, whatever, for 11.97 descending ladder. Last week we were doing 12.10.8, and we did it with the 85, and we did fine across the board until we got to the 8 rep set. We only got 7 because apparently we're bitch made. So with that being kind of a disappointment, for lack of a better word, I'm going to try and go up to 90. We got the straps on already, and I'm going to try and do 90 for 11.97 because there's no point in doing 85 for 11.97 when I already did more than that on the first 2 sets and did exactly that on the last set. So we're going up, and we're just going to try and man up and just do better. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I got nothing else to say. I thought I had another thought, but I don't. So let's get it. Got my 11. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Using a little bit of thoracic extension to help me get that shit up. One more. Going for 7. One more. Nice. Redeemed ourselves. Lateral raise with external. These are on backwards. And by on backwards, I mean I'm just holding them backwards. Because if you guys remember from the last video, I'm using a 12, right? So I have a 2.5 on one side. So as you go to externally rotate, the added resistance is on thumb side. So it's just, it's just a little nuance. Does it really fucking matter? No, but I still like to do it because it's cool. All right, let me readjust here because I do have to get some external or thoracic extension at the top. So lateral. Nice. One more of those. Oh, God. Oh, man, that burns. Feet on the mat. Ah. Woo. Oh. 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 Whew. Holy crap. Whew. All right. Now the fun stuff. We got arms. Band's already up here. We're gonna do crossbody, banded extensions, spider curls. So, 2 rounds, like 8 to 12. I'm gonna try and beef up the weight just a little bit. Bands, I'm gonna try and choke up a little bit higher. And then we'll be all done. That's it. Easiest workout of my life. Elbows will stay in front. Basically, preacher curl. Whoop, I hit the pin. Oh. Ooh. We're just gonna jump straight over here. We're gonna superset these bad boys. I don't feel like taking a rest period in between. Who cares? Elbows back. Yeah, I'll come back there. Ooh. All right, one more of those. Got my 12. It's funny, I'm trying to avoid banging the dumbbells into this little pen right here. So range of motion might be a little shoddy because of it, but you gotta make do with what you got, right? It is what it is. Oh, I forgot what I was doing. I was about to do flies. That's funny. I got gym brain, dude. All right, here we go. Now we're on track. Woo! That's a spicy meatball right there, man. It's a pretty easy one, to be honest. Had a little bit of a rough start with the dynamic effort. You know, it's only been 2 weeks. So I expect the dynamic effort bench to get better by week 4. But really, it's not even really a concern for the last block. I just wanted to do something a little preparatory for the conjugate block, right? Like I wanted to kind of get ahead of what the speed work felt like since it has been a while. With that being said, everything else seems to be going pretty smoothly, actually. I don't really have any issues with the field days, despite them being pretty long, pretty arduous in terms of volume, but they feel good. And I did, I don't know if I said this last week in those videos, but I took out the tempo run for now because there is so much volume on those two field days. And what I did was is I just created a Z2 day, um, where I still get steps in, so it's just locomotion, and I still have the bike conditioning on Saturday. But I think the tempo run at this point doesn't really do anything productive, and it's one of the thought processes that I go through quite often is, how much work can I throw in before it gets redundant? Right? Because I do enjoy training every day, but sometimes you really just got to take a step back and be like, is this actually improving what I'm doing? Or is this just, junk volume, which is basically what it would be. I know some people literally just classify junk volume as like additional sets that don't produce any growth. But junk volume, generally speaking, is just work that doesn't provide positive adaptations. And I think the tempo run initially was probably a good idea, probably because volume on the field days was relatively low, but I was also coming off a block with no running at all. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if it was too much. Like could we have gotten more out of those previous weeks if I didn't do it? I don't know because I on the opposite side of that coin, doing those tempo runs helped me kind of solidify my sprint technique because you do it at like a sub max sprint tech. Like you're not just like, lackadaisically running, like you're trying to mimic your sprint technique. It's just at a tempo. Um, and Going by that, I think it was overall a net positive. I don't think it was inherently harmful. I think even now it's probably not inherently harmful, but it does feel better to not have that tempo run in the middle of the week because it normally makes me too sore to perform on Friday. And I just haven't found a good way to kind of work around that. So typically, what I do and what I did yesterday was either take the entire day off and just focus on steps, um, which is honestly probably a smarter decision between you and me. Or I go to the gym and do Z2 on like a treadmill or a bike, and I just stay in like kind of that recovery, like that almost like Z1 kind of, and then just go from there. So with all that being said, I think it still comes out to a point of being adequately prepared for the work that actually matters. So the sprint work on Tuesday and Friday is ultimately what matters the most. So if those sessions are suffering, then the things that are getting in the way need to be trimmed. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next week. And we have 2 more videos coming out this week. So I'll see you guys in. Adios.